All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of The Potential Project. We have our second guest on today. And again, if you're watching this, you'll be able to see who it is. But if you're listening to this on audio, is another close friend of mine, a very, very talented individual on all things boards, plus many more, which you'll hear about. So I'm super excited for him to share his story and a little bit about how he became the man he is today, right? So without further ado, Mark Gama, guys.
What's up, man? How you doing today?
Good, man. It's a beautiful day. It's hot, but it's a beautiful
now.
Yes, loving it. So as someone who knows you, but not the in-depth details, if you guys can see him, he's got the dreadlocks rocking, the fitted cap. He's a highly fashionable guy, which we'll get into why. But Mark, take us back and share your story of how you became this version of yourselves. The dreadlocks, we're skateboarding, we're snowboarding. Like take us back a little bit.
We're going back. I mean, as a kid, I guess I always wanted to, skateboard, snowboard, do my own thing, have my own, vision and appearance. May have been off the paved route for most, but, as time went on, my parents started seeing like, this actually is who he is. It's not a phase or, anything. So, let's just say we'll start at high school. I started going to Catholic school, and let's just say it wasn't the best option for me, I guess. I'm very thankful for the things that I did learn there, but they never offered the extracurricular classes. So my high school was closing and it became a new high school. And when that happened, actually, you went to Kennedy Kendrick. Oh, no.
I went to Norristown.
All
My
right.
brothers went to Kendrick. Yeah.
So when Kennedy Kendrick and Pius combined, I went to PV. And when I went to PV, they offered like graphic design class and photography, videography, all these different options. So I was like, oh my gosh, like, my eyes opened up. I was like, this is a whole new world.
Were you looking for that stuff specifically, or you just meant like the extracurricular classes?
That's what I did for fun. So when I said, oh my gosh, I could take a class for this, or like I could make a living off of this, it grabbed my attention instantly. It wasn't just math, science, and so on and so forth.
Right.
So it's like, all right, this could like, work out. So I started making my loves or hobbies into, a job, hopefully. I started looking at college courses and, it's like this is it. I'm gonna be a video editor or, a graphic design artist. And I was still skateboarding and snowboarding at the time. Starting to get, some traction and attention. I was releasing some videos and social media started coming out. So I was like, you know what, maybe I'll like move to California instead. And my parents, wanted me to do the traditional route of college and, you get a job 9 to 5. Well, I kind of still have this California idea in the forefront of my mind come around senior year. And let's just say something happened with my transcripts when they were sent out. That's a story for another day. But my whole junior year was left out. So my transcripts went from like a pretty good GPA to it was basically like cut in half because they missed a whole year of my schooling. So
when the schools merged,
I don't know what happened or when it happened, but when my transcripts were sent out to my colleges, a whole entire year of my schooling was missed. So my GPA, like, the zero was factored into the overall GPA and it brought it down. So colleges were obviously denying me because it was a really low GPA. And looking back, it definitely a major issue, but let's just say it worked out for the best. I made the decision to move out to California, and best decision I ever made in my life.
When was this? How old were you?
18. I just turned 18. I just graduated PV high school, and I hopped on a plane. I didn't know anyone out there. I bought a one-way ticket
By yourself?
By myself. I'll figure it out. As long as I have my snowboard, I should be able to meet people, make connections, and snowboarding. So I was like, if I'm out there, man, I'll be with my people. It shouldn't be an issue or a problem. So that's what I did. I moved out there for a few years, traveled, filmed, entered all the contests and competitions, did everything you're supposed to do for snowboarding.
Okay.
Still skateboarded on the side. I was still filming and, doing my own thing. And throughout all this traveling and whatnot, I actually found myself back in Philadelphia one day filming, and I got a call from a doctor. And that's kind of when, I found this mass, tumor. And I didn't know that's about health is wealth. So
Right.
let's see what's up with this.
So take us back to that day, right? You're 21 years old, you're skating, you're loving life, you're catching up with friends, you're back in the city, right? And the doctor calls and gives you probably the worst news of your entire life thus far.
Definitely the biggest news
The biggest
of
news.
my life so far. And that was kind of when I tried to not look at it as the worst news, or, there's glass half full, you know, um, doesn't matter if there's a sip in there, where glass is still full.
Was that your mindset from from the start?
I've kind of had that mindset, my whole life, but this definitely kicked it into a whole nother perspective as well as gear. But that's definitely how I approached it. What do I have to do? Let's do it. And that's what I told him, what are the next steps? And, going on, he kind of broke everything down for me, gave, me and my parents a few different options, of how you would like to proceed. And the first step was getting the mass tumor removed and like a vein that goes up into my chest. And it's supposed to be a pretty simple surgery. They said the success rate is pretty high for this. So it definitely made me feel better as a, young kid getting this news. So we did the surgery. The surgery went well. Um, it wasn't that long of a recovery time. And, you know, I go back and we start doing all the tests again to make sure everything's cleared. Well, not only was it in the same spot that we originally found it, but it also moved up into my lower abdominal area too. So we went back to the doctor, said, what's the next steps? And chemotherapy was next. So there was two options of chemotherapy. One was a little bit longer, but not as intense. One was more intense to like attack it, but it was a shorter time frame. So we said, because I was younger and healthier, let's do the more extreme one so we can hopefully get rid of it faster. So rounds and rounds and rounds of chemo began. That was an experience within itself. And I think that's when it really started hitting me like, dude, this is like pretty serious. Like, and I'm looking around me. I was at Fox Chase Cancer Center, and everyone around me is like, 50s, 60s, and I'm sitting there 21 years old. So that everyone had, years on me. And the room was just lifeless. It was just sad. I don't know. I couldn't accept it basically. So I went in there and I didn't change myself at all. On the days that I felt good after chemo, I went right into the city and kept skating. There was definitely bad days though, where I, wasn't even awake on the way home. So that's the thing about chemo. You have good days, you have your bad days. There's some like in between days, but you just kind of have to like stay the course and trust the process.
So is it a long, like, is it multiple hours of sitting there?
You're there for like anywhere between like 6 to 8 hours a day. It's basically like my friends were in a classroom learning and I was in a chemo chair
Oh my
getting
God.
chemotherapy. That's like the best way I could describe it. When my friends went to work in the morning, I went to chemo in the morning, and then when they were done, I was usually coming home at the same time. So the thing that made it really tough was that because everyone was older, and I'm assuming that these people had cancer for, multiple years of their lives, they started getting, I guess, down bad mentally. And they tried to like rub it off on me, walking to the bathroom or whatever, people would give me comments but specifically, I remember this one guy and he looked at me dead in the eyes and he just said, you're going to die. I'm going to die. Like, we have cancer. And I like stood up and I got like pissed, and I wouldn't say I made a scene, but I definitely raised my voice and like let him know, like, dude, this is not how this goes on this side of the room. Like, I'll show you. And I guess all the nurses, like, they loved it,
Oh,
because it was
wow.
finally a breath of fresh air. They try to be as positive as they can, but I think it's one of those things that's a lot easier said than done, especially if you actually put yourself in a nurse's shoes. Uh, so yeah, I just said like, dude, no, next, get out of here. And the doctor started hearing this, and he started, kind of joking with me because he knew, I wouldn't say I had a sense of humor approaching it, but I was more positive about it. So
Hmm.
he could say like these things. And one of the things that I remember, we had a bet. This is actually my second set of locks. I had a first set that was probably twice as thick, just as long. And we had a bet going during my chemo, like, dude, I'm not losing my hair during this. And he's like, you're probably going to lose it, man. And I don't know. I just had this mentality, like, I'm going to beat this. I have cancer. Cancer does not have me.
Mm.
So I made it to my second to last chemo session, and I actually like reached to the back of my head. It was just like one of those days you knew something was up, something didn't feel right. And I just remember reaching to the back of my head, and my hand just kept going up my scalp, and my whole back of it fell out in like one, like, like 10-pound dreadlock. It was just like the whole back of my
As
hair
if
in
your
one.
hand was like a buzzer almost.
I think it was already detached. I think, I don't know what it was,
Got
man,
it.
but that's what happens with like chemo. The hair molecules just detach essentially. So that's what happened. And I ended up shaving the rest of the top of my head so it would all grow back evenly. That was my hope,
Hmm.
at the time. And, he kind of looked at me and he's like, I can't believe you even made it this far. He's like, people usually lose their hair within the first, handful of rounds. Like, props to you anyway, man. Like, so we completed the chemotherapy course. Did
How long?
everything I was supposed to. I don't remember the exact time frame. It was probably like a 2 to 3 months.
Okay.
So Monday through Friday, you did it all. Essentially, you had off on the weekends. Some days, if I remember correctly, I think some days were like Monday through Thursday, or some weeks were Monday through Thursday. Some days there was the Friday day. But again, we went through all the tests, checked everything up. Well, the chemotherapy didn't work. So he was like, not only do you have it in the original spot in the abdominal area, but it's also moved to your lower back area now too.
Mm.
So he's like, there's a few options. We looked at radiation. I didn't go through with radiation, but it's a pretty major surgery, and it's called RPLND, if I remember correctly. And I went up into New York because the specialist is up at Memorial Sloan Kettering up there. And the surgery is essentially like cutting you open from here to like here. And it's just one large incision. They open you up, they take everything out of you, and they basically scrape where the cancer was in the front of me and then in my lower back. And then they put everything back in and stitch you up. So that was like the major surgery. Also what I think saved me.
Hmm.
So that recovery was a little bit more intense. I had to, I was in the hospital for at least a week. I had to learn how to stand up straight and walk again. Um, it was, I can't even put it into words. Thinking back at it right now,
Yeah.
it was crazy. But I just said, now I'm walking again. Like, I can't go skateboard, but let's start the recovery process. What's gonna be next? And like I said, that is, I think, the surgery that saved it. There was a couple more procedures and like side effects, that happened. But after that, they took out the staples and the stitches and everything, and they did all the tests again once I started getting, healthier. And, knock on wood, that's, I think, what did it. At that point, after going through all this, that's kind of what really, really opened my mind and eyes to like, no, this could have been a really bad situation. Let's make it a better one. One door may have closed. Let's open up like 3 to 4 more. And that's when I started JahFeelZ.
Mm.
When I was sitting in that chemo chair, I couldn't go to school. I couldn't work anymore. I have to stay busy. I have to always be doing something. So that's kind of when I was like, I've always wanted to start a clothing brand. At this point, I also want to start giving back to kids battling cancer. I was like, if I'm sitting here, the youngest one in the room, I can't imagine how a 12-year-old, a 6-year-old is doing this as well.
And this is while you're getting your chemo,
Mhm.
like you're thinking about other people
Oh yeah.
while it's happening to you.
And that's when I started building the brand and the website and the logo. I was on my laptop in the chemo chair. I kind of figured like, I can't waste this time. Like, let's do something with it. I started talking to the nurses, and I guess Children's Hospital Philadelphia, CHOP, is the largest not only in the area, but I think in the country. So I started working with them or putting my donations towards them. My goal was to create a clothing company because I always had the creative side, but I also wanted to give back, which is kind of what I came up with when I was sitting in that chair. So with every hoodie or t-shirt or hat or beanie that I sold, a percentage of the profit margins would go to these families or the kids battling cancer. It was either for food or gas or toys or games. I tried to personally impact these individuals rather than just donating money for cancer research.
Makes sense.
They've been researching this for a while now, to each their own. I just would have rather impacted people personally than donating to a fund that you don't really know like what happens to your money after you donate it. So yeah, that's how JahFeelZ came about.
Where did the name come from?
The name came from, I guess, my childhood. We always used to say like, you feels me, like, and it means like, you know what I'm saying. Jah came in through, there's Rastafarian culture within dreadlocks. Jah also means God. So we started saying like, JahFeelZ, like, you feels me, but Jah feels me. And it just kind of was one of those things that stuck. And I just always liked saying it. So I came up with like a groovy font. This looks good. I had a friend help me a little bit as I was going through these treatments. Rachel Bach, thank you. Teamwork makes the dream work. So we were able to dial in this logo. I loved it. And then I was like, well, we need a symbol now for it. People called me Pineapple Head when my dreads were growing. So I kind of started thinking about like pineapple symbols or a palm tree or something that's like brings life and joy. After doing some research, pineapples mean like welcome down south. A lot of people have them on their mailboxes or welcome mats. It means like happiness, welcome, positivity. So I was like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
So one thing led to another, and the symbol for JahFeelZ was created, and it was a pineapple. So
Who
that's
doesn't love a pineapple?
That's what I'm saying. You look at these things and you're just like happy. So that's how the name and symbols came about. And I always wanted to create a clothing company. So I was like, if there's a time to do it, this is probably it. I don't know. Along with the clothing, I just wanted to create like a whole vibe and like lifestyle with it. I didn't want it to just be a clothing brand. And I just remember growing up, I'd go down to the city for the Broad Street run with my family or whatever. And like, they didn't let me bring the skateboard at the time, but I would always stop by Love Park and just watch, or I'd go to City Hall and I would just watch. And I just remember, the DC crew down there in the early 2000s, they all had, the same logos on their shirts. They were out filming, smoking, having fun, laughing. And I was just like, that's it. I was like, they're doing it. Like, that is life to me. But the other aspect that I wanted to include in it was to always give back to not only people, but your community, especially where you're from. So that's kind of how I started getting into more, I don't know, charitable works outside of just cancer. We donate clothes to the homeless of Philadelphia. We do food drives for not only Philadelphia, but our local areas and communities. We've dealt with like schools who needed books or technology. We set up funds for them. So we did a food drive here or a toy drive here, I think a couple times. So it just, whatever comes across like my plate or desk, if I have interest in it, I'm like down to do it.
Right. I love that. And now you kind of touched on JahFeelZ, like the vibe, right? The mission behind it. And clearly you're donating clothes, you're getting your hands involved with a lot of charity work. And overall, you guys make a lot of different clothing, right? There's hats, there's shirts, there's hoodies, there's pants, there's all types of stuff. What is the the vibe, or like, what are you trying to give off with
So I
JahFeelZ?
guess, that's the one side of it. And then the other side is we're all out skateboarding, snowboarding, wakeboarding, surfing, music, art, whatever it is that we do, we're still out doing that and filming it. And we put out videos, post on social media. We hold all these events now for skateboarding and snowboarding. And it just is to kind of like live your life to the fullest. And, no matter what you're going through, be yourself. Don't change.
Mm,
Don't let something else change your overall vision or course of life just because you're going through it. One person might have a drug problem, one person might have an alcohol problem, I might have cancer. We're all walking in different pairs of shoes. We might be able to relate on some aspects, but just don't ever compare yourself. Stay in your own lane, concentrate on what you have to do. Maybe use some of these people for inspiration, but when you start like comparing, that's, I think, when people have their downfalls, or they get messed up mentally, or get into this negative state of mind. And that was my kind of goal. No matter what you're going through in life, don't let that spiral. If you skateboard, continue to skateboard even though you're going to rehab, or whatever it might be. So I don't know, through all these events, I just want these kids to have fun. It's not a contest. They're not veered away because Johnny's entering it and Johnny's the best in the area. I want them to be like, dude, I get to skate with Johnny today because, we're going to the same event. Everyone goes home with products, everyone goes home a winner. It's pretty straightforward, honestly. I just never had that as a kid.
and you're referring to JahReels, correct?
JahReels, the jam at Black Rock we started doing. Yeah, just all the events is just to kind of like show people, just have fun, just love what you do and live what you do.
Yeah. Now, based on the vibe and the kind of like the mission behind JahFeelZ, like to embody that. Now, you obviously went through, like you said, cancer, surgeries, chemo, and your mindset was on serving others, right? Does what you mentioned about your family aspect have anything to do about the vibe of JahFeelZ as well?
So uh my parents and I didn't see eye to eye pretty much my whole entire life. Recently we have a very good relationship now. We see more eye to eye on things. It might be because I've matured more, or it might be because they have realized like this is who he is. So I'm thankful and blessed that that's how it is now. But that, I guess, kind of shows, follow your heart, even if the people who raised you and are closest to you are kind of, I wouldn't say steering you away from it, but they want the best, for their kid. And I get that, but you also kind of have to like listen to your kid and what his interests are. So I will say, this experience through cancer brought us closer together. Your support system is everything. You know what I mean? Like, my mom sat there with me in that chair and like we got to talk and catch up, and I guess start seeing more eye to eye, or she could hear me out or I could hear her out. So that's, I guess, what started our relationship. And family and friends, if I didn't have them throughout this process, it would have been a different, like, overall experience for me. I think, I mean, my family and friends saved me. They keep you alive mentally, they keep you moving physically. Like, on the off days you might want to curl up in bed, like, you need that person. Dude, come on, let's just walk down the driveway, walk up the driveway, just do it. So yeah, family and friends too, blood or not, they're everything, you know and still to this day.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a close-knit circle and group, and you trust them. It's like, these people are your rock. They've helped you get to where you're at today.
Mhm.
And I'm sure you had some days where you're like, man, we're opening this gym through COVID. I'm sure you had doubts. Look at this, man.
Yeah. Now, I mean, like you said, support, family, friends, wherever that comes from is extremely important, right? But when it comes down to it, in my eyes, you still have to have some level of belief to make things come to fruition,
Uh,
whether it's beating cancer, whether it's starting a business. Where was there like a mantra you had? Like what was keeping your spirits so high?
I guess I've never had like a mentor or like, there's people you look up to, but I just had this like drive in me. My faith is very strong. I prayed every single day. So I guess, I thank God every single day when I wake up that I'm here, to help me, whatever surgery was happening that day. My faith definitely was strong to begin with, but came out even stronger at the end of the day. So I would say that divine, faith and strength and push was God. He really just said, do not give up. Like it's really not an option, at
Right.
this point. Like you have all these goals and ambitions and visions. I'd like to see you do them. So here we are. And, I'm trying to just go down all my lists that I have and just complete all my visions and make them come to fruition in life.
Hmm. And I think you answered that in a different light, right? Some people may call it belief, but when you said it's not an option, whether that came from your head, your subconscious, God, whoever you believe in,
All of the above.
right, came in and said it's not an option, which is another way of saying I have 100% belief in myself that this is my path. And I think that's really what it takes,
Hmm.
because what you overcome is, for most people, they might not be able to handle it, but
Yeah.
with having that strong belief and that knowing of, hey, this is where I'm going, and I know that I put my faith in a higher being to get me there. And really, that's it's remarkable to see what you've done and overcome. And I'd like to step into Mark Gama now,
All
right?
right.
Because I know that was
One
a
chapter.
season, a chapter of
Yep.
your life, but it doesn't define who you are.
No.
It kind of made you into this new person. Now, tell me a little bit about you. You grew up skateboarding, snowboarding, you were filming. Is that still like, is that still a drive, or where's your focus at now?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to try to skateboard and snowboard and film and do these events for as long as I, physically can. Throughout, JahFeelZ coming about, I started producing all of these pieces of apparel by myself. Um, let's just say I tried to outsource it at first and it just didn't work out. So if you want it done right, you do it yourself. So with this, money I had saved up, it's like lesson, invest in yourself. There's no other person better to invest in, honestly. So back to the belief. Can you do this? Do you believe in yourself? And I told myself, like, yes, I can.
Mm-hmm.
So I started printing all the JahFeelZ product and sewing and stitching and like, investing in a new piece of equipment so I could make another type of product. And throughout all that, I guess some family members or, close family friends were like, these t-shirts are really nice, man. Like, I have a landscaping company. Could you make me, a dozen shirts that I could wear to promote my business? I said, sure. One thing led to another. Someone saw his shirts. Dude, these are incredible. Like, where'd you get these done? So a referral system started happening, and that's when Gamma Printing Co. came alive. And I kind of realized, I was like, this industry is missing not only quality but customer service. A lot of these decorators just don't care about their clients or their people. So I started, I guess, becoming a entrepreneur at that point. I opened up an auto shop that did window tinting, vinyl wrapping, ceramic coating, detailing. And I just kind of kept going on this path of, I don't know, just doing things the right way, if that makes sense. So 6, 7 years later, I'm still running Gamma Printing Co. We're still doing events for JahFeelZ. We've worked together for I think 5 or 6 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy where life will take you and the people you'll meet and the connections you'll make. And it's even cooler because all these people that I've met throughout traveling and moving across the country, they all have their own businesses now. So it's almost like, I get to support them and then they get to support me. We'll circle back. Teamwork
Mhm.
makes the dream work.
Yep.
So it's kind of cool how it came full circle like that. But that is, I guess, how the business side of me became. Aside from that, man, I still like hanging out with my friends, traveling, partying, having a good time, but I definitely have a different outlook on the situation. Um, glass is always half full. There's always positivity that you can bring out of any situation you're in, and just stay in your own lane. Don't worry about what Joe's doing, like concentrate on yourself and make your visions come to life.
Mhm.
Uh, so that's kind of, me still to this day. I hope I can keep doing this.
Yeah, until your body's not able to. And I smiled a minute ago because you said something about like doing it yourself and having that customer service and that human interaction. And like you said, we've been working together for 5-6 years now. I'm a client. Those are his shirts in the background. I'm literally wearing one right now. Um, and the one thing that stood out from our very first like business meeting was the connection. It's like, hey, I'm gonna meet you here. We're gonna go over some products. We're gonna talk about this. And the communication was on point. The customer service is probably better than any other company I've ever
Oh,
dealt
I
with in my
appreciate that.
life. Seriously. And like I don't think people understand how far that goes. We're in a world of AI and robots and doing things online. I could go order t-shirts online
From anywhere.
and from anywhere.
It'll come overseas. It'll probably be cheaper,
But I
but
go to Mark because he's here right now in his busy schedule. If I'm like, hey, Mark, I need some hats next week,
we'll
right
make
in
it
the
happen.
production line, right? Like he communicates with you so well. And this isn't a plug for his business because he does well enough, but it's just to show like what he was talking about was he did that because you felt the need. Like you said, it felt right. Like I want to communicate with people and give them the quality that's deserved.
I didn't want to. I didn't want you to be like a number in a system. You know what I mean? I kind of started seeing that people just wanted that one sale. And if you never came back, they didn't care. And I was like, that's stupid. Like
Mhm.
that doesn't really make any sense. Why wouldn't you want these people as a lifetime client? Or eventually they could become some of your best friends in life because they share that mentality and drive that you have, that they want to make a difference, or they want their business, name to become elite in the world. So yeah, man, I don't know. I just care about people and the product and the overall, communication. So I just kind of stayed true to myself. I didn't follow any course, or, I didn't have a mentor. I just tried to be real.
Yeah,
Um, and I just kind of, if you're honest and real, then I don't know. It's pretty like,
it works out.
yeah, it works.
And to your point, like we're in the people business. No matter what you do, you're in the people business. So the fact that you take the people as the priority is why
Mhm.
it's why it works, and it's why referrals come in because if you take care of someone, they're gonna recommend other people.
And
Which
hopefully what goes around comes around.
exactly, yeah. So that's huge. Now I wanted to touch slightly. You don't have to go too far into it, but like you guys have to first of all go follow him on Instagram and all places. YouTube, he's got a couple of videos out. This man is like a professional on a board. When I'm saying that, I mean like professional.
We just cruise.
Makes it look easy. Snowboarding, I mean, I could watch your videos all day. Was there a time where you were like, yo, let's go make some big bucks on these boards?
I guess when I was going through like the competition phase, that's where like the money is within the industry, and it took away the fun for me. So that's when I stepped away from it and realized like, don't be concentrating on just making a check off of this. Focus on doing this for the rest of your life and
Mm,
like creating something that people will talk about and remember, and not just like, now don't get me wrong, gold medalist in the X Games and Olympics, like major props and kudos to you. But I guess I just had a different vision and a different like feeling inside of me. Like this isn't it. Like all these people, I don't know, they were just everyone's so serious and like stuck up. And I'm just like,
Mhm.
dude, we're just here to snowboard today. Like, chill out. You know what I mean? And my homie and I are just breezing through these competitions, and these parents are like freaking out and like, we're asking to borrow your helmet so we can just take our drop. We just came from who knows where the party the night before, but it just wasn't fun anymore. It took it away from it. And that's kind of when I realized I was like, this isn't it. You know,
Mhm.
might be for you, might be for someone else, but for like me and my friends that we were snowboarding, we're like, just go have fun. We can still make a name for ourselves. We might still be able to get paid indirectly, through it. All of us worked park crew for a few years. We were still snowboarding every day, but we were still working to get a paycheck. Everyone has a side hustle or, side gig or something like that. So, that was just kind of our mentality. Like, you don't have to be so focused on making a check that it consumes you, and you kind of forget why you do it, and your love of, boarding or
Mhm.
basketball, it disappears. So I don't know, man. I'm very happy I made the decision. Who knows where, it could have, would have, should have went, but
Yeah.
very happy.
Well, happiness is the forefront, right? You
Yes.
drive your decisions and your actions in life based on that. And since you were doing it since you were a little kid, and that gave you so much fulfillment, to then see the politics and the seriousness behind the competition, sounds like it just deterred you away from the
Mhm.
happiness, right? And that's perfectly fine to make that decision.
And you
So,
need that if you're competitive
oh
and
my God.
competing. You
Yeah.
you have to have it
Yeah.
actually. And that, like, it's to each their own.
Yeah. But at least you're still, I mean, you're still out there making
Mhm.
videos. You're still, like you said, cruising with the boys, right? Still performing at what I would look like at a high level. Um, so as long as the love's still there and you're still doing that, what's what's the focus now? Like, where's your attention and time being spent?
Right now, I'm at this point in life that is like life. I have my businesses going. I'm about to get married. We bought a house a few years ago. We have a puppy that just turned 1. So it's kind of just like at this point, time management, um, trying to create a healthy balance between work and life,
Mhm.
and trying to make like, everything happen. You need to have time for your loved ones and significant others. You know, there's always something to be done on the house, or garage or cars. So I just trying to like simplify right now and just be able to still do everything with the appropriate balance. I don't want to get burned out. I don't want to, change who I am or my work ethic. So I'd like to just keep doing what I'm doing. Just, you know, as life goes on, you start getting better at your time management. So that's kind of what I'm focused on now, is just everything scheduled, everything goes on a list, everything gets done.
Mhm. It does, truly. I mean, sometimes I'll meet you and we'll get coffee, and you're like, "Yep, I had to work all night, but it got
We're
done."
still here today.
Right. And so, I mean, I guess this is what they meant when they say adulting, right? Stuff with the car, the garage, the house. You're now getting married, like you said, a puppy.
Wedding
That's
planning, yeah.
that's what they meant by adulting, I guess. We're figuring it out as we go,
That's
right?
what we're seeing, right?
Right. Okay, so we have that going on. We're trying to schedule that, balance it out, but we still have JahFeelZ and Gamma Printing Co. Is there a direction you would like them to get to, or are you just kind of going with the flow?
I'm just going with the flow. Gamma Printing Co. I have an amazing clientele list that I've built throughout the years. So I'm kind of like accepting clients at this point. Um, I just want to work with people who are good people, who have morals and values and understand family, that aren't yelling at me, I need shirts done in 2 days. Like, that's great, but your problem is not my problem anymore. And you need to do these things to develop and create and establish your business. But now I'm at the point where, you know, it's not about making every single dollar you can. It's about enjoying life because we're here. I'm still alive. You're still alive. Work is important, but now I'm trying to have that balance between spending time with my family and my wife and my dog and doing, things in the house or the cars. I don't know, just so I can, I guess, be happy and enjoy myself finally, than running around, like a nut, trying to do anything and everything under the sun.
Mhm.
So,
That's important. Like, obviously, it comes down to schedule and
mhm,
prioritizing, but it seems like, I mean, I wish more people would see this way, but you're chasing the happiness. What
mhm.
fills you with bliss? I'm gonna go in that
That
direction.
was well said. Yep.
Yeah,
In a couple words, that's what I'm trying to say.
yeah, and that's amazing. And I can't tell anyone to change who they are, but if you could see from that perspective and understand, like, we're not promised tomorrow, and what you make of this life will probably be more enjoyable if you're following the bliss and what's
I
in
would
front of your
agree.
face. So, I mean, really, we covered a lot. Now, let's say someone who's never met you, they're a young kid, they're going through a lot. Maybe they have cancer, maybe they are severely depressed, or what.
Whatever it
There's
is.
a situation going on in their life, but they want to be more. What would you, like, a tip or two? What would you say to that person that sees you overcome all these things and created businesses and, done things with the skating and snowboarding, and they see more for their life, but it seems so dark at the moment?
Or so far away or so distant.
Yeah.
Follow your dreams and stay true to yourself. Do not ever change your course or path. Make your dreams become a reality. Um, People think that, their dreams are so far-fetched, or it's only, when I go to sleep, this is like my dream life. No, make that come to life. Like, it's on you, honestly. It's not up to anyone else. You will be and are your biggest competition now and for the rest of your life. So if you're like not even fighting against yourself, but almost just like, hey, here's the like accepting defeat against yourself, you're not going to make it. You're not going to
Mhm.
accomplish what you want to. You need to have that drive and, mentality that I will do this. It will happen. If there's a will, there's a way. The human mind is one of the strongest things ever. The things, that you can accomplish and think of, there are no limits, honestly. I mean, impossible is nothing. It's all what you make it. There's things that people are doing nowadays that people 20 years ago said, absolutely no way. That's
Right.
impossible. And like, it's not. These people just had that mentality and sense of urge to make it happen and make it become a reality. You know,
Seems like you've been living that your whole life.
it,
Each stage I've been hearing you
yeah,
say, it's this is what it is and there's no other option, and I'm
no.
gonna figure it out because this is my direction towards bliss, and we'll figure it out as we go.
I just also think like the more you think about it, or the more situations that you come up with, the harder it is to accomplish not only one of them, but all of them. So it's like, just do it. Just do it. you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely. I mean, Nike said it the best, but it's so true.
Literally,
You
Nike,
literally
just
just
do it.
have to make something happen and course correct as you go.
And you know what? That's the other thing. If you're not failing, you're not learning. If you have it right off the bat, that's good and all, but come down the road, if you've never had something happen to you, or if you don't know how to deal with the situation, you might crumble. These failures or mistakes, or maybe it just may have been like miscommunication, whether it's on your part or their part or both parts. Learn. If you're not gaining knowledge through these experiences, then you're not going to become an overall experienced person. You're not going to gain that knowledge. You're not going to be learning anything.
Well, it goes back to your mindset of the glass half full always,
Yes.
because sometimes we don't understand why certain things are happening in your life, but if we can look at it from a broader view of saying, why is this happening for me, not to me?
Yes.
It could be a little hiccup, it could be a big situation, but if we use that to learn, if we use that for, experience, then down the road we're going to look back and say, wow, I know exactly why that happened.
You became a stronger person because of that happening.
Right. Right. That's amazing, Mark. I mean, I appreciate you taking all the
Oh my
time to
gosh.
share your story and hopefully, guys, if you're listening to this, take a word or two from what he's saying. I mean, the main thing that I got out of it was having that dead set focus on this is what I'm going to make happen, and kind of like burning the boats, right? And following your bliss. I mean, it's good to take time and reflect and see how does your gut feel about this, and go for it all, all in. So where can everyone follow you, get in contact with you, learn more about your businesses?
Instagram, Facebook, social media platforms. My name's Mark Gama. I have JahFeelZ and Gamma Printing Co. on all the social media platforms. Our YouTube channel is just JahFeelZ, and that's where we release the videos. If you're local to the area, please come out to some of our events. Even if you don't skateboard or snowboard, we encourage everyone just come out and have a good time. Watch it. There's always vendors out there. There's live music sometimes, or DJs. Always free product being given away, and like food. I always try to incorporate like some sort of Philadelphia style food into my event. So we either have like cheesesteaks or tomato pies or like soft pretzels.
Love it.
And I just like take them. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
try to give back and not, look at it as a job, when we do these events.
That's
So,
huge.
yeah, come out and have fun with us one of these days. Hang out with us in person and talk to us, chill with us, skate with us.
Yeah, I don't skate, but I would probably embarrass myself, but I'll definitely get on the snowboard with you.
All right.
Guys, so check out, like I said, Instagram, YouTube, reach out to him. He's a normal guy. I'll probably have a conversation with you that'll make you feel good, right? Like I say this all the time, but the energy that I get whenever I'm around him, and I've said this to you from the get-go, it's good. You're a good person. You fill the energy bus, and it's what we need more of in this world, because we're all in this together. We're all humans. And it's just good and refreshing to have good, healthy, energy giving people in this world. So Mark, I thank you so much for coming out, man.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to have him back on in a couple years and see what's transpired in Mark Gama's life.
Looking forward to it.
All right, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Appreciate it.